The arena was alive. Metal walls shook with the sound of thousands of alien voices. Screams, laughter, and roars filled the air. Creatures from across the galaxy had come to watch blood and victory. They had waited weeks for this match, the final round. The champion was undefeated, huge, dangerous, worshipped by many, and today he would crush a human. A small gate opened at the far side of the arena floor. From it stepped a girl. She was thin, young, maybe 20 years old. No armor, no visible weapons. Her black boots kicked up dust as she walked across the sand. She wore only a tight black bodysuit marked with a faded Earth symbol. Her short dark hair moved slightly in the breeze, but her face was cold and still. The moment she entered, the crowd laughed. Alien voices boomed with joy. Is this a joke? She looks like she weighs 40 kilos. The champion will snap her in two, the announcer's voice echoed through speakers around the arena. Ladies and creatures, from the dark ruins of old Earth we present the final challenger. Name Ember, status human, weapon unknown, threat level minimal. Another wave of laughter rolled across the stadium. High above in a glass box, alien generals watched with amused faces. They drank glowing liquids and placed bets. 3 seconds, one said. She won't last longer than that. Ember didn't speak, didn't smile. She just kept walking, eyes fixed ahead. Across from her, the champion waited. He was a tower of living muscle and steel, 9 feet tall. His skin was like black stone, his arms wrapped in chains made of bone and metal. Red eyes glowed from beneath his helmet. His name was Kator, the undefeated monster of the arenas. He had killed 39 warriors this season alone. Crushed skulls, burned bodies, ripped limbs, and now he flexed his claws, ready to add one more to the list. She stopped 10 steps away from him. Looked up. Still silent, the arena announcer called out again. Begin! Kator didn't wait. He charged with a roar, raising one heavy fist. The ground shook with each step. Sand flew from his feet as he rushed in for the kill. The crowd screamed in excitement. But then, nothing. In the blink of an eye, Ember was gone. Not vanished, just moved. From in front of him to behind him. So fast, many didn't even see it happen. Kator froze. He turned his head slowly. His growl grew quieter. The crowd, for the first time, went silent. Ember stood behind him, untouched, still calm, still quiet. And then, she raised one hand, a faint spark lit on her fingertips. Red, then blue, then gone. Kator turned fully now, no longer rushing. Now cautious. He struck again, this time a wide sweep of his claw. Fast. Strong. She ducked under it like it was nothing. Slid across the sand, spun on her heel, and kicked him in the back of the knee. He didn't fall, but he staggered. The crowd gasped. High above, the generals leaned forward. What just happened? She hit him. She actually hurt him. Kator growled in confusion. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Ember's eyes narrowed. Still no words. Still no fear. 5 years earlier, the lower zones of Earth were nothing but ash and silence. Old cities, long destroyed by war, stood like skeletons. Broken towers, blackened streets, empty skies. Most of Earth's rich had left the planet long ago. Only the forgotten remained. But, deep underground, in an old military bunker, Ember trained. She was part of something secret, something dangerous. Project Ember, a program made in Earth's final days. A last chance to create humans strong enough to survive the galaxy. No machines in their blood, no chips in their brains, just pure skill, pure instinct, pure evolution. The trainers were ghosts, ex-soldiers and rogue scientists. They taught her how to move without sound, how to strike without warning, how to read an enemy's body like a map. She trained every day. No rest, no escape. She didn't know her parents, didn't know her real name, only her mission. "One day they'll laugh at you," her teacher once said. "Let them. When they stop laughing, it will already be too late." Back in the arena, Kator roared again, angrier now, embarrassed. He launched a storm of attacks. Blades popped from his arms. He fired a plasma spike from his wrist. Ember ducked, dodged, jumped, rolled. Not once did she try to run, and not once did she strike back. Yet. The crowd had gone quiet now. No more laughter. Only confusion, whispers. She's playing with him. This human. She's reading him. The announcer's voice returned, shakier now. Still no blood spilled, but the challenger shows unusual movement. Could this be a trick? Kator screamed. He slammed both fists into the ground. A shockwave burst across the arena. Dust flew, stones cracked, and ember flew into the air. Everyone leaned forward, expecting her to fall, but instead, she twisted mid-air and landed on Kator's back. A second later, her elbow smashed into the base of his skull. He dropped to one knee. The crowd gasped louder. Then, she vanished again. Kator spun in circles, trying to find her. Too late. She appeared in front of him. For the first time she spoke. Her voice was quiet, cold. "You killed the wrong people." Kator's eyes widened. He swung. She caught his wrist. She caught it. The champion, the killer of 39 warriors, couldn't move his arm. She held it there like it was weightless. Then, she broke it. The sound echoed like a bone, snapped through the sky. Kator screamed and fell to one side. Ember stepped back. She looked around at the crowd. Aliens stared in shock. No one laughed now. She turned and looked at the general's box. One of them, a tall creature with green skin, rose slowly, eyes full of fear. She pointed at him. "Next time, send someone better." She turned back to Kator. He was trying to crawl away. She walked slowly, step by step. No rush. He begged in his language, strange growls and clicks. She didn't stop, and then, in one final motion, she raised her hand. And the arena went dark for just a second. When the lights returned, Kator's body lay still. Ember stood over him, holding his head by the horn, not with hate, not with pride, just with purpose. She walked back the way she came, holding the champion's head like it weighed nothing. As she stepped out the gate, the arena was silent. No one dared to speak. No one dared to laugh. The galaxy couldn't stop talking about her, the girl from Earth, the human with no name, the one who entered the arena alone and walked out carrying the champion's head. Her name spread across dark web networks, bounty boards, and black market screens. Ember. Some said she was a ghost. Others believed she was an experiment. A few thought she was just lucky, but they were all wrong. She was something else, something designed. Years before the arena match, beneath the ruins of a destroyed city, deep under layers of broken concrete and forgotten war zones, there was a hidden lab, no windows, no escape, just flickering lights and metal doors. Inside, Project Ember had begun. There were many test subjects at first, young humans taken from refugee camps, orphaned after alien raids. Some were too weak, some refused to fight. Some didn't survive the training. But one girl remained. She never cried, never asked questions, just watched, learned, endured. Her real name was lost. So they named her after the project itself. Ember. Dr. Varin, the lead scientist, once wrote in his journal, Subject 9, Ember, displays extreme reflexes, emotional control, and pain resistance. I believe we have finally unlocked something, not mechanical but primal, evolution itself. They didn't give her upgrades. No steel arms, no AI implants, no speed drugs. She didn't need them. Her speed came from muscle memory. Her strength came from perfect nerve control. Her instincts were not trained. They were rebuilt. Each day she fought against machines, then against other humans. She learned to breathe without sound, strike without warning, and kill without fear. She never asked why. Until one day, she saw a name on a report. Kator, champion of the Zorok arenas. Under his name, confirmed Earth civilian deaths, 172. That was the first time Ember felt rage. That night, she walked to her trainer. "I want to fight him." The trainer looked confused. "You're not ready, he's too strong." Ember didn't blink. "Then make me stronger." Back in the present, after the match, Ember disappeared. No one knew where she went. The arena security showed no trace of her leaving. No ships were registered. It was like she had vanished. But someone was watching. In a dark chamber on a distant moon, an old alien warlord named Rax Volon watched the replay again. He was silent, except for one whisper. "She's not a fighter. She's a weapon." Rax once led a conquest that destroyed 3 human colonies. He remembered Earth well, weak, broken, useless. But now he saw a human lift Kator's head like a trophy. And he was afraid. In a cargo ship floating through dead space, Ember sat in silence. No lights, no sound except for the hum of the engine. Across from her sat an old man, the last living scientist from Project Ember. His name was Dr. Varin, the one who had trained her as a child. He coughed, tired and weak. "You shouldn't have revealed yourself yet," he said. "Now they'll come for you." She didn't look at him. She stared out the small window into space. "I wanted them to see," she said softly. "Why?" "Because they forgot what we are." Dr. Varan frowned. "You're not just human anymore. You know that, right? You're faster than them, smarter, more dangerous." She turned to him. "That's not true. I'm human, just better." There was no pride in her voice, just fact. She had no interest in ruling, no desire to be a queen. She didn't fight for fame, she fought for balance. The galaxy had laughed at Earth for too long. They had used humans for sport, for tests, for experiments. But no more. She was the first, but not the last. In the outer colonies, a group of bounty hunters gathered in a dark tavern. Each one had scars, robotic arms, deadly weapons. The leader, a creature with 4 eyes and a snake-like neck, slammed a datapad on the table. 10 million credits for the human girl, alive or dead. One of the hunters laughed. "You mean the one who beat Kator?" "No thanks." Another spoke. "They say she's a ghost. You try to scan her, nothing shows up." The leader growled. "I don't care what she is. Someone built her. That means someone can break her." Turned to his crew. "We find her, we end her, we collect." But deep down, even they felt it. Fear. She had become something more than a name, more than a killer. She was a warning. Somewhere in the cold space between systems, Ember floated in. The dark, eyes closed, body still. She was not resting. She was listening, feeling. Her body tracked signals without machines. She could hear the movement of enemy ships before they arrived. Smell the metal in the air of a room before entering. It wasn't magic. It was training. Biology. Focus. Dr. Varin watched her from the control room. He recorded notes in a whisper. "We made her to defend. But now, I wonder what she's becoming." On her skin were old scars, each one from a lesson, a mistake, a victory. She touched one near her shoulder, the mark from her first kill. She remembered the alien who had laughed at her before the fight. They always laughed. At first. Final scene. A shadow approaches. A ship neared her location. Big, armed. Hostile. The words Zorok Elite Squad blinked on Dr. Varine's screen. They found us, he said. Ember stood. No panic. Good, she replied. There's 5 of them, he warned. Armored, blood hunters. You won't have the element of surprise. Ember reached into a compartment and pulled out 2 short blades, old earth steel, no glow, no tech, just sharp and fast. I don't need surprise, she said. The screen flashed red. Warning, boarding in 30 seconds. Dr. Varyn opened his mouth to speak, but Ember was already gone, vanished down the hall. As the ship shook with the sound of enemy boots landing on the hull, he whispered to himself, "They don't understand what's in her blood." The rules were clear. No mercy, no surrender, no survivors. That was the law in the galaxy's most dangerous fighting zone, the Crimson Arena. Owned by the Zorok Empire, it was built on a floating station above a dying star. Fighters from across the universe came here, or were dragged here to fight, bleed, and die. The crowd didn't care who lived, they only cared about the show. And now the show had changed, because Ember was back. The entrance the Crimson Arena buzzed with activity. Gladiators sharpened their weapons. Creatures with cybernetic eyes placed bets. Guards loaded new prisoners into cages, preparing them for slaughter. At the center of it all stood Garrick, the arena master, 7 feet tall, covered in silver armor and black fur. He had managed this arena for 40 years and never lost a fighter he sponsored, until Kator. Now Garrick stared at the screen, replaying the moment Kator's head was lifted by a girl. A human girl. His jaw clenched. His eyes glowed red with rage. She broke the rules, he growled. She humiliated the Empire. He turned to his assistant. Call the shadow judges. We need new rules. Rules for her. Meanwhile, Ember stood on the edge of an abandoned cargo ship. It floated near the outer rim of the arena station, hidden by space debris and darkness. She watched through a scanner as security drones flew in patterns guarding the main gate. Beside her, Dr. Varyn adjusted a small device. "Why are we going back?" he asked. "You already proved your point." She didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Because they're still laughing, somewhere out there. They still think humans are prey." Varyn looked at her, tired. "You want revenge?" "No," she replied. "I want respect." Inside the arena station, the shadow judges gathered. 5 of them, creatures so old and powerful no one knew their real names. Their faces were hidden under golden masks. They controlled the rules, the matches, the fates of fighters. Garrick stood before them. "She destroyed Kator. The crowd is afraid. Fighters are quitting. Sponsors are losing money. She must die." One judge leaned forward. "Then make it a show." Another added, "Announce her return. Tell the galaxy. Fill the arena." A third whispered, "And then break every rule to stop her." Announcement day screens lit up across the galaxy. The Crimson Arena returns with a special match. The Human Ember versus 10 elite champions. No rules, no time limit, 1 survivor. Crowds cheered. Fighters prepared. Bounty hunters grinned, but deep inside many felt fear. 10 versus 1. Even she can't survive that, right? Back on the ship, Dr. Varyn slammed his hand on the table. "It's a trap. 10 champions. That's not a fight. That's execution." Ember looked calm. "They think numbers can stop me. They'll cheat. They'll change the rules. Then I'll change them too." She opened a case. Inside were weapons, blades, shock sticks, powder bombs. But she only picked one thing, a small ring with a glowing red stone. "What is that?" Varyn asked. "A signal," she said, "for what's coming after me." The night before the fight, Ember sat alone in her dark cell, deep beneath the arena. Guards refused to enter. They watched her through cameras, whispering like children. She breathed slowly, calm, silent. Then someone walked to her door. A fighter. Not one of the 10, just a scared young recruit. "Why are you doing this?" he asked through the bars. "You'll die." She looked up. Everyone dies. Not everyone makes them remember why. The boy didn't answer. He backed away. But he'd never forget her words. Moments before the fight, the arena was full. Flames shot into the sky. Music shook the floor. Aliens screamed from their seats. Cameras flew through the air, recording every angle. The announcer's voice roared across the walls. 10 champions enter. 1 human follows. The fight begins now. Gates opened. 10 warriors stepped in. A mutant with spinning blades for arms, a twin-headed sniper, a lava beast, a teleporting assassin, and more. They surrounded the arena. Then, a smaller gate creaked open and Ember walked in. No armor, no helmet, just her body, her eyes, her silence. The crowd didn't cheer this time. They watched, they remembered, and they waited. The gates slammed shut. The crowd fell silent. The 10 champions stood around Ember, weapons raised. Each one had fought hundreds of battles. Each one had killed without mercy. But tonight, they didn't charge. They watched her, because they all felt it. The thing no fighter should ever feel before a fight. Doubt. The first strike, the twin-headed sniper moved first. He vanished in a blink, teleporting across the arena wall, trying to take the high ground. But Ember had already moved. She grabbed a chunk of broken stone from the arena floor, tossed it into the air and threw it like a bullet. Crack! The sniper fell before he fired a shot. The crowd gasped. 9 left. The second and third came together. The mutant with spinning blades and the acid-skinned beast attacked from both sides. The mutant lunged, spinning like a saw. The beast spat glowing green liquid, meant to melt Ember's skin on contact. But Ember rolled under the blades, using the mutant's own momentum. As he spun, she kicked his knee. Snap! Sending him crashing into the acid blast meant for her. Both screamed. Then silence. 7 left. The crowd was not cheering anymore. They were afraid. This was not entertainment. This was war. Even the shadow judges leaned forward in their seats, whispering behind golden masks. "This isn't just skill," one said. "She's studying them, adapting," another replied. "She's surviving," the third whispered. "No, she's winning." In the fighter's tunnel, Doctor Varen watched through a monitor. His hands were shaking. "It's working," he muttered. "She's making them panic." Suddenly the screen flickered. A strange signal appeared. Varen stared at the pattern. It was a tracking beacon. "No, it's too soon." Back in the arena, the teleporting assassin finally appeared behind Ember, blades drawn, aiming for her spine. But Ember had dropped a mirror shard earlier, placed it where only she could see. The moment the assassin blinked into view, she turned and kicked him into the air. A flying arrow from another champion accidentally struck him mid-air. Down he fell. Gone. 6 left. The crowd started screaming, not in celebration, in fear. The Jorok officials watching from their towers began to worry. "She's not losing. This can't be broadcast live." Cut the feed. But it was too late. Across the galaxy, in refugee zones, mining ships, human colonies, billions were watching, and for the first time, they saw a human win. Inside the control room, one of the shadow judges slammed his hand on the table. "Send in the Omega Protocol." "That's against the law," Garrick warned. "She broke the game. We'll break the rules." In the arena, the last 4 attack. Together, creature made of living fire, a giant robot with a plasma cannon, a shadow beast that moved through walls, and a female warrior with metal wings. They came all at once. The air filled with fire, metal, screams and smoke. The cameras lost view. Dust covered everything. Silence. Then, from the smoke, a single shape walked out, burned, bleeding, but standing, Ember. She wasn't fast anymore. She wasn't fresh. She was limping, breathing hard, but she was alive. She looked at the 4 champions she had taken down, then up at the stands, straight into the camera. "I told you. I'm not your show." Suddenly, the arena floor opened. The Omega Protocol had begun. A massive war machine rose from below. A black titan once banned by every arena law, built only for war, powered by stolen stars, controlled remotely by the shadow judges. 50 feet tall, a death machine. Its arms aimed at Ember. Its eyes glowed red. Target: human. Ember. Kill order. Maximum fire. Dr. Varen screamed at the monitor. "Get out. Run." But Ember didn't move. She slipped the red signal ring from her finger, pressed it once, dropped it to the floor, then whispered, "Let them come." In orbit, something arrived. A shadow fell over the arena. A human stealth ship, unlike anything the galaxy had seen, dropped from hyperspace, cloaked until now. It didn't belong to any army. It was silent, deadly, and it was hers. Inside the arena, the death machine charged its cannon, a blue light built in its chest, powerful enough to vaporize a city. Ember closed her eyes. Then the sky exploded. The stealth ship fired a rail beam directly through the arena roof. Boom! The death machine shattered. The floor cracked. The crowd ran screaming, and Ember stood in the center, alone, alive. The crimson arena was gone, broken, burning, and in the center of the rubble stood Ember, blood on her face, smoke rising behind her. Across the galaxy, people watched in silence. They didn't see a human anymore. They saw a symbol, the first human in 1,000 years to defeat the system. But victory always brings questions, and Ember's blood held answers no one was ready for. Back on the stealth ship, Dr. Varen worked quickly, connecting Ember's body to a healing bed. Her bones were fractured, skin burned. But her eyes were still open, still focused. "You should be dead," he whispered. "They thought I would be," she said. Varen checked her blood readings. He froze. "This isn't right." The data was strange. Her blood had changed. Faster, healing, denser cells, nerve growth beyond any human range. "This isn't just the training," Varen muttered. "This is something else." "You knew," Ember said. "Didn't you?" He didn't answer. She sat up. "Tell me." A memory. From the past years ago, before Ember ever fought, before she even had a name, Dr. Varen had stood in a cold lab under the earth. A Zorok general had ordered the test. "Use alien DNA, mix it, fix the humans, make them useful." Varen had refused at first, until he saw the files. The Zorok Empire had wiped out Earth colonies, killed millions, called humans weak. "If I can change one," Varen had said, "maybe I can save the rest." And so, Project Ember was born, not just trained, engineered. Back in the present, Varen stared at her now. "You have Zorok blood in you," he finally said. "The part that lets them track prey, the part that senses danger before it happens. I put it in you." Ember didn't flinch. "So I'm one of them?" "No," Varen said. "You're better than all of them." But Ember wasn't angry. She stood and walked to the window. Outside, stars blinked in the dark. "They made me a weapon," she said, "but I choose who I fight for." Across the galaxy, the effect begins. In the slave pits of Core Vale, a young human girl saw Embers fight on a smuggled screen. She whispered to her brother chained beside her, "She looks like us." On a prison ship near Delta 9, human prisoners started a riot, yelling Ember's name. In secret meeting rooms, rebels replayed the arena footage over and over. Everywhere humans were crushed, forgotten, or mocked. They began to hope. Because of her. Because she didn't just survive. She fought back. But not everyone was celebrating. The Jorok Empire declared her a war criminal. The arena was sacred, one leader said. She destroyed our tradition. A bounty was placed. 50 million credits, dead or alive, the largest in history. Ships were sent. Mercenaries hired. Spy drones launched. But one thing became clear. They were afraid. Not just of Ember, but of what she might become. In the stealth ship's secret chamber, Varen opened a hidden box. Inside were 5 small vials, glowing red. "What is this?" Ember asked. "The last samples," Varen said. "Your DNA, your design." "You were planning more?" "No," he said quietly. "But someone will try." He looked her in the eye. "If they get these, they'll build armies." Ember stared at the vials, then crushed them all in her hand. Glass and liquid fell like ash. "No armies," she said. "No monsters. Just me." Suddenly, the ship alarm rang. A message flashed on the screen. "Incoming vessel. Unknown markings. Human code." Detected. Varen froze. "No one should know we're here." Ember narrowed her eyes. "Put it on screen." A ship appeared. Old, damaged, but clearly human-made, and someone inside was sending a signal. A name Ember hadn't heard in years. Project Alpha, requesting Ember's help. Colony in danger. Coordinates attached. The flame spreads. She turned to Varen. "How many humans are still out there?" "Scattered, hiding, lost." "Then we find them." Varen stared at her, unsure. "You want to build an army now?" She shook her head. "No, I want to build something stronger." He blinked. "What?" She smiled. "A rare thing. A rebellion." The stars were quiet, but the silence was a lie. Because on the far edge of the Kara belt, a human colony was screaming for help, and only one person answered. A forgotten world. The colony was called New Ember Reach, named after hope, not a person. It was hidden between asteroid fields, shielded by dust clouds, long abandoned by Earth's governments, a place for the forgotten. Refugees, survivors, farms made from wreckage, solar panels half working, children raised to hide, not dream. And now, the sky was on fire. Jorok dropships fell like black raindrops. They didn't come to enslave. They came to erase. In orbit, Ember's stealth ship exited hyperspace. Alarms flashed. "We're late," Dr. Varen said. Below, flames were rising. Buildings crumbled. Human signals were going dark. "They're wiping it clean." "Then we stop them," Ember said. "Alone?" "Not this time." She looked to the side screen. "Signal the colony. Tell them to light the beacon." Inside, the colony fighters gathered in the tunnels under the farms. Old weapons, broken armor, but still willing to fight. One of them, a tall woman with a scar over her left eye, stood in front of the group. Her name was Lyra Cade. "You all saw what she did in the arena," she said. "Now she's coming here to stand with us. So we don't fall alone." Someone in the crowd shouted. "One fighter won't change anything." Lyra looked up, eyes burning. "She's not coming to change everything. She's coming to show us we can." First contact Ember landed in a shattered hangar under the colony. Lyra was waiting. She didn't salute. She didn't smile. She just said, "You came." Ember looked around at the burned-out walls. "Not soon enough." "Still, you came." They didn't need to say more. Fighters speak few words when death is near. The plan, The Zorok forces had landed in 3 waves, 1 at the Bai Energy Core, 1 at the food vaults, 1 searching for data, anything about human resistance. They want to erase us, not just kill us, Varen said. Because we're a message now, Ember replied, and messages are dangerous. Then what's the plan? Lyra asked. Ember pointed to the map. We split. I go for the core. You defend the vaults. If they get power, we're done. If they get food, we starve. And if they get the data? Varen asked. Then there won't be another rebellion. The first fight at the colony's heart. Ember moved through smoke and broken steel. Zorok soldiers were everywhere, faster, stronger, armored, but they weren't ready for her, not after what she'd become. She struck from shadows, moved like fire. 1, 2, 3 fell. Grenades rolled. She kicked them back. Energy blasts missed her by inches, but still, she bled. Still, she burned. Still, she pushed. Meanwhile, Lyra fights her own. War at the food vaults. Lyra led the colony guards. Into battle. No training, just rage. They held the line. Zorok drones flew overhead. Cannons roared, but Lyra stood her ground. She had nothing to prove, only people to protect, and that made her just as dangerous as Ember. Back at the core, Ember reached the final hallway, but it was too late. The Zorok had brought something new. A hive. Castor, a creature that spoke through metal, hacking systems, infecting power grids. It turned lights red, locked doors, released poison gas. Ember staggered, coughing. Her body was strong but not immune. Varen, she gasped through the comm. They're killing the core. You have to get out. No, I'm stopping it. She reached into her jacket, pulled out a single spike bomb. Only one. She set it, held it, and charged straight into the hive. Silence. Then light. The core exploded in blue flame. The hive caster screamed and died. Ember flew backward into metal walls. Blood dripping, lungs burning, but the power grid remained stable. She had won. But outside, the sky had changed. Again, a second Zorok fleet was coming. Heavier ships, not soldiers, bombers. The colony would be gone in minutes, unless... The signal Ember opened the comms. Lyra, do you trust me? I fought for you before I met you. That's enough trust. Good, because we're going to crash the ship. Into the fleet? No, into their command beacon. That's suicide. Not if I jump first. The final move, Ember, set the ship's course, loaded the coordinates, and jumped out with only seconds left. The stealth ship went full speed, invisible, silent, deadly, and slammed into the Zorok beacon. Boom. The fleet blinked, lost signal, turned, fled. Just like that, the colony lived. The aftermath smoke settled, the dead were buried, but the people stood taller. Lyra walked through the camp, saw Ember sitting arm-wrapped, blood still drying. We're not soldiers, Lyra said. You are now, Ember replied. Lyra smiled. So what now? Ember looked at the stars. Now we build. The stars were watching, and so was the galaxy. For the first time in 100 years, a human flag, torn, faded, stitched by hand, rose over a Zorok-controlled world. The banner wasn't pretty, but it was flying, and that meant war had begun. 1 month later, Rebel Base, Shadow Nest. Under the rocky moon of Telis 9, Ember stood at the center of a cold war room, lit only by red lights and moving maps. Beside her stood Lyra Cade, now wearing black armor, her scar visible like a promise. They weren't just hiding anymore, they were hunting. The plan is simple, Ember said to the circle of fighters. We hit their supply lines, we take their fuel, we break their chain. One rebel raised a hand. Won't that paint a target on us? Good, Ember replied. Let them see us. Let them chase ghosts. The target, Outpost Corran. Located on a dead asteroid, Outpost Corin was small, but vital. It stored plasma fuel, weapon cores, and food for 5 Zorok fleets. It was guarded by droids and command-bred officers, but it had one weakness: overconfidence. Zorok Command didn't believe humans could attack, not directly, not with skill, not with unity. They were about to be very wrong. The strike begins. 3 stolen Zorok ships flew toward the outpost. They sent fake codes, wore fake signals. Inside the lead ship, Ember stood still, heartbeat calm. She wore her old arena suit, repaired, upgraded, scarred with fire. Beside her, Lyra loaded her shock blades. "You sure we'll get out alive?" she asked. "No," Ember said, "but we'll get in." The ships landed. The doors opened, guards stepped forward, and Ember moved. Chaos in the halls. The first guard didn't even scream. The second only managed one word. The third hit the alarm. But by then, the rebels were everywhere. Lyra led a team through the fuel chamber. Ember fought in silence, disabling security before they could react. Explosions shook the halls. Doors blew inward. The Zorok began to understand. This wasn't sabotage. It was war. Meanwhile, a spy. Watchers far above the asteroid, a cloaked satellite turned and recorded everything. Inside it, a figure sat in the dark, watching Ember through a cracked monitor. They wore Zorok armor, but had human eyes. They spoke into a comm. Subject Ember confirmed. She leads. She wins. She spreads. Another voice answered, cold and machine-like. Then she must be erased. No more games. Back at Outpost Corin, the rebels had reached the core. Explosives were set, but something went wrong. One rebel tripped a sensor. Defense AI activated, walls closed, guns dropped from the ceiling. Lyra dove behind cover. "We're pinned." Ember looked up. No fear, just focus. She ran. Through fire. Through bullets. Through metal blades. She reached the AI console, ripped open the panel, and burned it with her bare hands. Smoke filled the room, then silence. They escaped. Just in time. The outpost exploded behind them, fire reaching. Into space, the stolen ships vanished into the stars, and the rebels laughed. For the first time, they laughed. Later, at Shadow Nest, more humans arrived, some with weapons, some with food, some just with hope. One child handed Ember a drawing. It showed her holding a flag, with fire behind her. Ember knelt. "What's this called?" she asked. "The Broken Banner," the girl said. Ember stared at it. "Then that's what we are." She turned to the others, held the picture up. "We are the Broken Banner. Not because we're weak, but because we've been broken. And we're still standing." They cheered. Lyra raised her sword. The rebellion had a name now, and names have power. Far away, Zorok High Command. In a tower made of glass and gold, the Emperor listened. He heard the news, watched Ember's attacks, then turned to a dark chamber. "Release the Warden," he ordered. "But it's not human," the servant whispered. "Exactly," the Emperor said. "She thinks this is a game. Let her meet something that doesn't play." End of Part 7. Let me know when you're ready for Part 8, The Warden's March, the final part, where Ember faces her greatest enemy, and the rebellion must decide what kind of future it's willing to die for. You said, ChatGPT said, here is Part 8, The Warden's March, the thrilling conclusion to the story in third person, simple English, full of suspense and emotion. Part 8, The Warden's March. The galaxy held its breath. Because the war had changed, no longer a fight for survival. Now, it was a fight for the soul of humanity. The arrival. The Warden came on a black ship, larger than any seen before. Its hull was jagged, alive with glowing lines like veins of fire. Inside it was cold, silent, empty. Except for one thing, a figure, tall, silent, and not human. Her name was Kayla the Warden, created in secret labs, mixing Zorok technology and ancient human legends. She was built to hunt, to destroy, to end the rebellion before it could start. On Shadow Nest, Ember and Lyra gathered their fighters. The warning had come. The Warden was near. "She's faster, stronger, smarter," Varen said. "Then we fight smarter," Ember replied. "But how?" Ember looked out at the stars. "We show her what humans can do when they fight for each other." The first clash. The Warden landed on Tellus 9. Her steps shook the ground. She moved like a storm. Ember met her in the open field. They fought, faster than any human could see, stronger than any human could bear. But Ember had something else. She had heart. She had hope. She had people behind her, and that made her unstoppable. The battle Lyra led the fighters. They struck from the shadows, distracted the Warden. Ember found a weak spot, a small, glowing core on her chest. With all her strength, Ember leapt and stabbed her blade into it. Silence. The Warden's eyes dimmed. Her body collapsed. Victory. The rebellion cheered. The Warden was defeated, but Ember knew this was only the beginning. A new dawn. The stars shone brighter. Humans across the galaxy rose up, no longer slaves, no longer broken. The broken banner flew high. Ember looked up at the sky. "We are free," she whispered.